Hey guys, welcome back to Inside Ambition. I'm one of your hosts, Gabby Remo, and I want to welcome you to this week's episode of Foresight 2020, a segment where we will be covering all things presidential election up until November 3rd. This week's episode is all about that glorified, televised Stan Twitter fight. Yes, the debate. I mean, seriously, what was that? I felt like I was watching the BTS army fight a critic. Surprisingly, the most civil moment of the entire debate was them walking onto stage and not shaking hands, because social distancing, of course. But in minutes, the debate felt like you walked into a 7-Eleven 10 minutes before your 9 a.m. shift, and you headed straight to the back fridges, grabbed a can of Monster, bit the side, and started shotgunning it right in front of the cashier. A beast was unleashed. Anyways, today I will be recapping the key moments of the first presidential debate between President Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. So let's get into it. To get the fundamentals out of the way, the debate was moderated by Chris Wallace, an American journalist and anchor for Fox News. It was broken down into 6 segments, the first being the Supreme Court, followed by the COVID-19 crisis, the economy, race and law enforcement, climate change, and finally, the integrity of the election. Most topics ended up getting mushed together into one collective mess anyways. So here's some key takeaways. First, the coronavirus. The former vice president did everything in his power and might to show the American people that the president mishandled the pandemic. Biden drove the point home that there have been 205,000 deaths linked to COVID-19 and that Trump failed to enforce slow the spread practices like mask mandates. Trump countered in defense with his swift act on a travel ban and his efforts to speed up the vaccine. But then, the hypotheticals came in on both parts. Biden said he would have done a better job. Trump said 2 million would have been dead by now under Biden's leadership. And then Trump said a vaccine was on the way. It was all a load of hoopla, truly. And at the end of the day, the facts are as follows. The CDC has reported over 205,000 deaths linked to the coronavirus. There have been over 7 million confirmed cases, and there have been over 294,000 new cases in the last 7 days, all as of September 30th, 2020. And whether or not you trust the CDC for accurate reporting, it's up to your discretion, but those are the facts we have. In this segment, there was fact-checking to be done on both sides. Trump stated that 10.4 million people in a 4-month period have been put back into the workforce, and it's partly true. According to the U.S. Department of Labor, U.S. businesses did add 10 million jobs from April to August. However, that's just under half of the 22.1 million jobs lost from February to April due to the COVID-19 shutdown. While Biden said that Trump has done nothing to help small businesses, Trump signed Congress a $2.3 trillion pandemic relief package in March, which created the Paycheck Protection Program. This distributed about $525 billion in forgivable loans to more than 5 million small businesses. This can all be found on the U.S. Small Business Administration website. But of course, his tax returns came up. Prior to the debate, the New York Times reported that Trump paid $750 in taxes in 2017. Chris Wallace raised that anticipated question during the economic segment. How much did you pay in federal taxes? Trump replied, millions of dollars. And when countered by Biden to release his tax returns, Trump claims, when it is finished, I will, referencing that he is under audit. Now, there's no real way to fact check that Trump is under audit because that is confidential. Only the person being audited or their lawyer can release information like that publicly. The IRS conducts these reviews, and they are not permitted to disclose this information. Therefore, for Trump's tax returns, it's just crickets and head scratching and speculation. Oh my. Moving right along, civil unrest and the racial divide was debated. This social issue is one of the most polarized between the parties. So With nationwide protests following the injustices of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd and numerous other Black lives, it was only expected for defunding the police to be brought up. Trump pressed the question to Biden, "Are you in favor of law and order?" This is also symbolism for his supporters to show his dedication to law enforcement, and to which Biden responded, "Law and order with justice, where people get treated fairly." Biden presents himself as a moderate Democrat and distances himself from farther left politics. He has stated in the past that he is not in favor of defunding the police. Chris Wallace asked Trump if he would condemn white supremacists and militia groups. There was clear hesitation, but Trump stated that he would be willing to do that, but pointed out that everything he sees is from the left wing. And between all three men graciously talking over each other, Trump asked, "Who would you like me to condemn?" And Wallace repeated, "White supremacists and right-wing militia." To which Biden echoed and added, "Proud Boys." To which Trump responded verbatim, "Proud Boys stand back and stand by." If you are unaware of who the Proud Boys are, they are a right-wing, male-only fraternal organization. They've been characterized as far-right, neo-fascist, and white supremacists. The group believes men, more specifically white men, and Western culture are under siege. They have a history of using anti-immigrant rhetoric, a history of misogyny, and other violent activities. So when President Trump said Proud Boys stand back and stand by, it sparked major controversy. In general terms, to Democrats, this statement provided equivocation on his stance on white supremacists. It seemed to be an alarming dodge to the question. To Republicans, there were a few justifications as to why Trump said this. In an interview with CNN, former Senator Rick Santorum, a supporter of Donald Trump, said that Trump refused to deny white supremacy outright because he doesn't like to say anything bad about his supporters. Republican Senator Tim Scott told an ABC reporter the next day that he believes Trump misspoke and that he should correct it. And for me, to be completely objective about the statement President Trump said, he did not outright condemn white supremacists in that moment, and the use of stand by is dangerous language. I can foresee this statement being corrected, or at least revisited at a future debate. On another note, another key moment was when Trump brought up Biden's healthcare plan, which he most likely mistaken for Senator Bernie Sanders' plan. During his run for nomination, as well as his work as a senator, Sanders proposed a comprehensive universal healthcare model. According to his 110-page draft bill, there would be a single-payer healthcare system. The Medicare for All plan would nationalize the health insurance industry and propose the automatic enrollment for benefits at birth or when a person moves to the United States, therefore ridding of private insurance. But Biden's healthcare plan is different. It would be a plan that would apply to those who already qualify for Medicaid. The plan would be called the public option, meaning those with private insurance can choose to stay in their plans. Enrolling is entirely optional. Many other issues came up: the Supreme Court seat, the legitimacy of the election through mail-in voting, but a really important component of this entire debate was the lack of civility. Trump spent a majority of the time interjecting into Biden's response time, whilst also debating the moderator and challenging his authority over controlling the debate. Trump attacked Biden's intelligence by accusing him of graduating at the bottom of his class. This all trickled into Biden name-calling. He called Trump a clown, told him to shut up when being interrupted, called him a liar, and the worst president in American history. President Trump stooped as low to come after Biden's family and claimed their son Hunter was dishonorably discharged when in fact he wasn't. Trump even said bad things happened in Philadelphia. I mean, Gritty and Mario, I'm sure, were enraged by this. Overall, the debate was unnecessary noise. At one point, the moderator acted as a substitute teacher and yelled over the two men to get them to finally listen. I was practically waiting for the moment where Chris Wallace would look directly into the camera like he was in the office, like a Jim pleading for help in the moment that Jan threw the Dundee at Michael's flat screen. All in all, I see the debate as a missed opportunity. From what was supposed to be an exchange of ideas, turned into a cafeteria food fight with yesterday's leftover insults being flung across the room. Jokes aside, not a single winner was declared that night. Why, you may ask? Because two candidates who hold the fate of our country in their hands spewed insults far from presidential, far from vice presidential, far from civil during an hour and a half that could have been used to talk about the issues. So if not a clear winner, there was a clear loser, and that was the American people. Hopefully, for the next debate, they can scrape the goops of incivility off the walls and they can game plan with the public about the future of our country, a real heart-to-heart about the fate of America. But my standards are pretty low now. I just hope debate number 2 doesn't look like a fist fight in the freezer section of a 24-hour Walmart. Thank you. But until next week, thank you for watching this week's episode of Foresight 2020. Be well.